Welcome, everyone, to the Spiel Sports Talk Show. It's your boy Sal. It's a Muslim here on Super Bowl Eve, special edition of the Spiel. Had to give you our thoughts before we jump into tomorrow's big game. I know there's a lot of things that we want to talk about, so let's just get to it. I got Quay, I got Randy. You guys know the drill. How are things going tonight? I know it's super late. It's 2:30 on the East Coast. We'll see how this one goes.
Yes, sir. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. Looking forward to another Spiel Super Bowl edition, Super Bowl preview. Always good stuff to catch up on. And yeah, this is what we've been building up to all year with the penultimate weekend of NFL season.
Yeah, it's so sad to see. After this, it's got basketball and hockey, and there's some Olympic sports to look forward to in the upcoming weeks. And after that, we jump into baseball and World Cup soccer. So there's a lot of things up ahead in this new year here, 2026. But the NFL is near and dear. So let's just go ahead and get started and talk about the Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Patriots. This is the premier top matchup, the number one seed in the NFC against the number two seed in the AFC. Both teams weren't supposed to be here, if you asked the pundits, the experts, before the season started. But on any given Sunday, any team can win. Team like the Patriots, who have their head coach, former player on the New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel. First season, they didn't do too well, and they got to play around with one quarterback, and then they switched over. That didn't work. Well, let's go get our guy. Let's get our guy Drake, and things have changed. He hasn't had to be, a superstar on this particular team, but if he can just manage the game enough, they'll succeed just like they've been all season. And on the flip side, you have the Seattle Seahawks with their high-powered defense, with the number one receiver in the league, JSN, Sam Darnold with his revitalized career. They didn't go through as much of a rebuild. They were kind of middle of the pack and shifted gears, and now they are looking to be the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. So let's start it off. Clay, what are your thoughts here on our Seahawks and their chances to beat the New England Patriots?
Well, before I get into all that, I'm gonna tell everyone a little story here. So, reason why Sal says our Seahawks. For those who don't know, we spent some time in Seattle. The show started in Seattle. Obviously, we have people who also tune in everywhere else, like Randy tonight, being in Jersey. We have Scuba Steve, when he tunes in, coming in from Pittsburgh, Sal being back in Pittsburgh, me being in Phoenix, Arizona now. The spiel happens wherever and whenever it can. So, but it all started back in Seattle. And I was not the biggest Seattle fan upon moving there. I couldn't stand the cockiness of the fans just because of how good their team got, because of the defense. And Marshawn Lynch was not, and I love Marshawn Lynch. Don't get me wrong, Marshawn Lynch is one of my favorite players. As a person who likes to be competitive, I don't like talkers. So Sherman wasn't always my favorite, but I always respected his game. But the fans, it was more so the fans that I just could not take. And I just remember watching that second Super Bowl and just remembering feeling like, okay, well, I don't really want the Patriots to win, but this would be so bad. Like, Seattle fans will be the worst if they win this. And I just remember, seeing that game and just being like, man, they're going to win this game. They're down 28-24, just right there at the two. Marshawn Lynch, he's going to get the win. And as we all know, fate had other plans, or should I say, Pete Carroll had other plans. Said, I'd rather Bill Belichick and Tom Brady have this Super Bowl. So that's what happened. And, it was actually more of a sad day. I remember when it happened, man, you know, maybe the Seahawks could have won. And then from then on out, I really just kind of turned around and started to enjoy them. Lived there for 7 years. Seems really good. So it was something you had to tune into. But all that being said, I think this team, no, like as Sal mentioned, no one expected either one of these teams, but the Seahawks, Sam Darnold, pretty much a cast off from another team again. Vikings said, even though you took us to the playoffs, 14 wins, we got a rookie we think that could be better than you. And whether that was Kevin O'Connell or whether that was their GM Quessy, who knows? It's just, or should I say, former GM at that too. Who knows why that happened? I know teams always feel like you got to start the rookie quarterback or the young quarterback, and I know I keep calling him a rookie for all intents and purposes. JJ McCarthy was a rookie, never touched the field last year. Was recovering from meniscus, even though I don't think it was a recovery from meniscus all year long. I think they just said he's going to sit, but that's neither here or there. Sam Darnold really, again, we've been talking about him a couple weeks. Changed the whole outlook and trajectory of his career. Cashed out on a contract by getting with the Seahawks here. Nothing spectacular, but decent quality starter money. Safe for for both parties. With the team and with Sam Darnold. And if he wins this is something that will be able to change his entire legacy. I think I mentioned that last show that we did. But this is going to be a very tough game. I thought this, the few days leading up to it, that the Seahawks would kind of run away with this. But over the past couple of days, I've been really thinking about the fact that the Patriots easily could make this a very tough game. It's going to be potentially a low scoring game, but we also could see this being a high scoring game. This is one of those that just don't really know what can happen. As we've seen with the Rams, and that's a divisional team. As we saw the matchup against the Rams, they were able to put up points against the Seahawks defense. They were technically the only team that could. So that's you're looking at all the numbers. That's probably in their favor that they can probably stop this Patriots offense. But Patriots offense is very diverse. Josh McDaniels is, for whatever reason, a guru offensive coordinator for the Patriots. Go anywhere else, he seemingly can't coach, but for the Patriots, he can call and scheme up a lot of things, and they have a lot of weapons, and they lean into different things to try to beat you on offense. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, like I said, this can go either way, just due to the fact Patriots have that offense that I just mentioned that's so diverse, and they have a really good defense that doesn't get talked about a lot. While also the Seahawks have a really good defense and the best receiver on offense right now, JSN. So I like I said, I thought I was gonna say Seahawks definitively. Just no worries. I'm still gonna call them to win the game, just because I'm wanting Sam Darnold to win than anything. But it's gonna be tough. It's not gonna be a cakewalk. And if it is a blowout type game, I'd be very shocked. I just think Mike Vrabel's going to have this Patriots team and defense ready to go. I think the offense is also going to be ready to go. Even if Drake May gets a little rattled, being a young quarterback in those big moments, I think Vrabel's going to have him ready to go and really focus. And even if he makes a mistake, just going to have him kind of forget that, have a short memory, and get back there. So again, still going to lean into the Seahawks. I think the score is going to be a 23-20 type of game.
How about you, Randy? What are your thoughts here jumping into tomorrow's game between the Pats and the Hawks?
Yeah. When I look back at not only the entire season, but I would say this playoff stretch as well too. I think, the better teams did rise to the top. Of course, injuries started to play a role on, certain teams not being as strong at the end of the day. But for me, I think the Seahawks were kind of like overshadowed by their division, and they have been steadily just a solid contender all year long. It was just, I think, no one really wanted to buy into it. Uh, Whether that has to do with, Sam Darnold and being more of that okay journeyman leader who's coming into a new setup. Um, we just kind of expected them to kind of fall off the wheel, and they never really did. So kudos to Seattle on just not only an incredible season, but these last few weeks just really looking like a dominant prepared team. And I know that that fan base, as you guys mentioned, having lived in Seattle, um, they really love that squad, and I know they're going to show up in full force on Sunday with the 12th man in the building. So for Seattle, I would love to see that town get the Super Bowl. I am weary of New England though, and just that franchise. They seem to always clutch up. I think Mike Vrabel has done a great job as well. And another similar
Mhm.
story where these guys are writing their legacy right now. So I think it's going to be up to Drake May or Sam Darnold who's going to finish this chapter by saying like, yes, I left a champion. Um, Not I was just the underdog who no one expected to have this amazing season, but who comes away with the belt because one of them is going to. And when I think about it, it's kind of insane that Drake May or Sam Darnold will have a Super Bowl and quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, um, do not have that on their resume. So it's going to be huge, I think, for either of these guys in terms of for Drake May going into that next contract after a rookie deal, being able to have this negotiating power of a ring versus not a ring. All of those things will make much more of a difference in the coming months after this. But I think it will be a tight game as well. I think we probably do see 31-28 is my prediction. I'm gonna go with the Patriots. Although I do want the Seahawks to win. I'm pulling for them. My gut tells me that the Patriots are gonna find a way to win this one.
Go
Yeah,
Patriots, huh?
yeah. I mean, I do think that on paper, this Seattle team is way better. I think Darnold should be able to outplay Drake May with all of the different weapons that he has, not just in the passing game, but in the run game as well. The Pats are well rounded too, but I just think that Sam Darnold's ceiling is a lot higher at this moment in time. But there is also this stink of what's happened in the past and his previous stint with the Jets and for him to be, go from basically a backup on another team, and then now finally starting with the Vikings last year, and now coming over here to Seattle, it is quite a story, and it's a nice story to see someone who was recruited out of college to be one of the top quarterbacks, and he who didn't have that initial success, didn't have the success that Josh Allen had and other quarterbacks. And now he's in a position to cement his legacy. And they has players on both, like I said, on the running backs. It was starting with Walker. He's stepped it up, I think, in the last couple of weeks. Too. I really think overall the team has been playing really well, especially on defense, and it all started with their first playoff game where they basically routed their rival. And going into the season, it was supposed to be about those other teams, the Rams, the Niners. We weren't thinking about the Seattle Seahawks, and now here they are. Um, and the Patriots, I mean, I think that's even a bigger story just because Patriots actually went through a rebuilding phase. And now they're in position to win the Super Bowl. And you would think that in today's day and age, Vrabel's first season, I think they only had 3 wins. Um, some coaches would have gotten fired at that point. But for them to stick with their guy, a guy who's been proven in the league, and their organization understanding that the rebuild was needed, and their team was just not that good. And now they found, I think, the quarterback of the future. Seems like he can at least be, I think his floor is being a game manager, but his ceiling is pretty high too. So it's really exciting, I think, to be a Patriots fan as well. So what do we think? Do we think? I mean, neither of us are really true diehard fans of either team, but do you think the previous Super Bowls in the back of the players' minds, even though they weren't part of that particular team, but the organization had to go through that trauma? Do you think that the Malcolm Butler pick, people are talking? I'm sure people in town are talking about it, but how about inside the building? Do you think people, are the Patriots going to use that as, all right, well, we've beaten this team before type of deal? Or is this just clean slate? They're not even thinking about the past, one game at a time. We're just thinking about this game right here, right now, in the Super Bowl.
Uh, I think probably both teams are trying to invoke whatever they can um, in that regard. But I, yeah, I think if I'm either coaching staff, that's what I'm trying to use to motivate the guys is whatever I can grasp on and just like, hey, like, this experience can haunt them in the past. Let's use this to get in their heads a little bit. I think there's a little bit of that gamesmanship that kind of has to take place at this point. Um, so for me, I say why not both sides in response to that.
I think I don't think it's I don't think it's used as motivation per se, but I do think we'll see coaches and probably more so Seattle um, than the Patriots is we'll see that they'll stay within their strengths. Like if they get into a position like if the script wants it to happen, it's 28-24, and we're going to get that 31-28 score that Randy is talking about here. Let's say that happens, and 28-24, and somehow they get the ball down to the 2. I I don't believe a pass on those plays. I think we'll see K9 get let loose, let the dog out and get that touchdown. I think that'll be something, and it'll be very crazy if that actually happens during the game. It'll be pretty hilarious. I think those are moments when people say like, "Yo, this is rigged," but then you're like, "How can it be rigged? Because how do you even set that up perfectly like that?" But um, yeah, I don't think Mike McDonald is like, coach, team. Look, we're gonna go in there and don't forget what happened back when Belichick and Carroll were against the Patriots. Then we lost. I don't think that's happening. There's no real, none like Sal said. None of those players were there, and just because you're part of the organization now, you don't carry that same rivalry, but you'll probably say, yeah, we lost to y'all in the Super Bowl the last time. We're going to beat y'all for the organization this time. But again, that's probably more the player versus the coaches, where I feel like the coaches, and like I said, particularly the Seahawks, stay, within what they do and not try to get cute. I think teams learned a lot from that Super Bowl. So,
Yeah, no, I really do think it's not going to be that big a deal. I think if anything, if I'm McDonald, maybe bringing it up, just be like, don't take any play, any moment for granted uh, over the next
hmm
hour here of gameplay. Um, I think
Yeah.
that the Super Bowl is going to be a close one. I know we've had some blowouts in the past decade. I think a couple of the last Super Bowls have been pretty close. But I do think this one is going to be a low scoring affair. I think it's going to be like a 16 to 10, um,
Ooh,
16 to
really low.
10, and I think the Patriots are gonna win the Super Bowl. Um, I just feel like there's something about it. The organization's been there, done that. It the script kind of favors the Seahawks, but I could see the Patriots muddying it up and kind of doing what they did to Denver, right? Keep it close, and as long as they keep close, they can win the game. Uh, the Seahawks, I think, are going to have to rely on that offense. If the offense can score, I think if they can score 2 touchdowns, they'll probably win the game. But that's a big
hmm
if. Especially the last game of the season. It's gonna be like you said, Quay. I think it's gonna be a really tough one for those Seahawks, and I do think the Patriots are gonna win. Obviously, as a Steelers fan, we don't want the Patriots to win because then the Patriots will have more Super Bowls than the Steelers with 7. Um,
hmm
but I have no stake in this race. I know we lived out there in Seattle, and I know I've been calling them our Seahawks tonight, just to kind of reminisce on old times. But all I want is a really good game, whether that's Seattle winning or New England winning. Uh, I mean, the Super Bowl just has a very dear place in my heart in terms of just like sporting events that you watch. Watching it with my dad back in the day. The first Super Bowl I really
hmm
clearly remember like paying attention to and following from start to finish was that Patriots Rams, and they were going against the greatest show on turf, and Patriots weren't supposed to be there, and they ended up winning. And that's kind of how it feels like right now, where the Seahawks are this team that has all the momentum. They're supposed to win this game. They're a number one seed overall. And those greedy Patriots that just come up, and I don't know, maybe it's Spygate or Deflategate or whatever organization. Shout outs to Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft not getting in the Hall of Fame because of those things. Um, who knows? Maybe they have something up their sleeve, and they're going to be, doing something shisty to get that advantage, and we won't hear about it for, another decade or two. So I don't know. There's something about them being in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowls that they have lost, right? We're all off of huge catches, right? David Tyree and or Mario
Mario
Manningham.
Manningham.
Exactly. So there's just if those things don't happen, they end up winning the Super Bowl. Of course, the Falcons probably should have beat them, but again, they somehow always keep it close. It's always going to be a nail biter. I think that this one will be no different. But yeah, I think it's going to be low scoring. Some about it tells me that it's going to be one of those Super Bowls. Everyone on social media is going to complain like, "Oh man, this is a boring Super Bowl." But at least the halftime show was lit. Speaking about a halftime show, I mean, I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on, uh, are you guys excited for the halftime show? I know it's a controversial halftime show to some folks. Bad Bunny will be performing at halftime, and he was the first Spanish speaking artist to win, I think, to win Album of the Year, which was last weekend, and now he can kind of finish up that whole culmination of his career, or at least this year, this career year that he's had with the Super Bowl halftime show. Last year we had Kendrick Lamar, very defining moment. I think at least in music history, just because of that content. Well, what are we feeling here about Bad Bunny, Randy? What do you think? We got Bad
Bad
Bunny. Who's
Bunny.
he gonna bring out at the Super
I'm
Bowl?
excited. I'm excited for Bad Bunny. I'm calling for an anti-ice subliminal messaging throughout his performance somehow. I'm also calling for guest appearances. My money would be on Cardi B. Um, I think they probably do
Guard.
the song from her album.
I like it
Um,
like that.
and I also think because of that, J Balvin and Bad Bunny also have an extensive catalog of songs together that they could do that would kill. Um, Outside of that, it is hard to call on who else he might bring, and he honestly can carry the stage by himself. So I wonder if he does go the Kendrick kind of route and really like keeps it within the fam, does like his own show, brings up people that he collaborates with closely, but that's about it. And to me, J Balvin would be that kind of like he fits that balance of like he collaborates with him enough over time. And also like that is also just the homie at this point in time, more than it is like, oh, we're work friends. Um, I think we're gonna get a larger scale version of what he was doing on his residency in Puerto Rico. And I think from what I heard about that, the set was really nice. So I'm excited to see what kind of set he brings to the stadium. Um, I wonder if I my guess is he
And
brings
I
like
wanna know.
obviously like Puerto Rican villa like type theme, and gives sort of that kind of vibe. But yeah, I'm excited to also just hear like a medley of like Bad Bunny, because like as awesome as Bad Bunny is as an artist, I think being able to have this moment of like a 15 to 20 minute just like set on the largest show on national or global television actually, um is like a moment in time, and I'm excited to see what he chooses and what it sounds like. It's really awesome to see reggaeton getting spotlight like this. And it couldn't go to a more deserving person because I think like Bad Bunny's so unique and really didn't chase like the classic reggaeton sound, and it's honestly helped evolve the genre.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just can't wait to see more of what he does, and surprise collaborations I always love at the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't be mad if he just rocked it like Kendrick too.
Yeah, and I mean it's crazy because he's already performed at the Super Bowl with Shakira. So this won't
Mhm.
actually won't be his first rodeo
Hmm.
performing halftime at the Super Bowl. I think that's going to be really cool. I think the performance is going to be more, I think more similar uh, to Kendrick, I think, or The Weeknd. Rihanna, I think, was another one who kind of did their thing by themselves. But I think with the collaborations, it doesn't have to always be someone you actually did music with, right? I think what do we have? We had Destiny's Child, and was it Red Hot Chili Peppers, or was it Bruno Mars? It was artists that fit the vibe, obviously, but not artists that actually had done songs together. So who knows? Maybe we'll get something out of left field, something to satisfy um, certain demographics of America who might feel left out with the Bad Bunny choice. So I wonder if that will happen too. Throwing like, we get the fireworks and Bruce Springsteen comes on and like USA. I feel like that would be pretty epic. But we'll see. Quay, what do you think there about
Erica Kirk pulls up and it brings Nicki Minaj
with the
on.
elevate the little lift where she like pops out the Astro World lift? But yeah, Clay, what are
Um,
your thoughts there on the halftime show? You
yeah.
excited, indifferent? What are you feeling?
Um, I'm overall just a little indifferent just because I'm not like a Bad Bunny stan. Heard plenty of songs, like the music. I'm not saying isn't good or anything. So, but I'm just indifferent about you know just that, just because of me not really being the biggest fan. But I do think with the whole polarizing nature of him performing and um, why it's quote unquote problematic if him performing at the at the Super Bowl. I think it's very telling to where we can maybe be on a path to when you have a group of people who want their own halftime show because they don't want to tune in to an artist who is quote unquote, you know, who sings Spanish
Ball
and
with
we
a
can't
ball of
understand.
bang bang.
uh, we can't understand Spanish, and it's just like, oh, we should when there's a good population here that does speak Spanish that are citizens, even if you want to take the route of saying, well, they're not even citizens. No, there's a good portion that are citizens that speak a different language,
Bad
whether
Bunny
it's
himself is
you
a
know
citizen.
is exactly. And it's just like it doesn't even make any sense. And I was talking about this to where you know when you really shed it all back, and this is where I say like talking about the other night, it's crazy how a lot of things can just be so political to the point where we don't even realize certain things. Like there's probably people who think, "Oh, Bad Bunny's not even American," and it's just like, okay, I guess that's what you want to believe, but it's pretty crazy that we're at this point that we want a separate Super Bowl show because you know you don't want to tune into that music, and it's just you can be indifferent and you can be whatever. Like there's been multiple Super Bowl halftime shows that people probably weren't that into because you maybe weren't that fond of the artist. Maybe you were too young to really understand. Like when it's like the millennial era, Snoop and all of them that were performing, and so many Gen Z didn't know who those people even were. It's just outside of like Snoop, because Snoop's everywhere.
Hmm.
But it's just funny to me that were up in arms about this. And again, we shut it all back because of what's been going on in the country lately. So I think it's going to be a great performance. Like you said, I think it's going to be something akin to uh, Kendrick. And I think it would be uh, the best to have Cardi come out just because, and I think Randy mentioned this probably one of our last shows. Um, Stephon Diggs is, in the Super Bowl. So you have her, and you still have the tie-in of like Latin culture, and then you can bring people in with her. Like you can bring her fans, bring them in, and be like, "Oh yeah, this is a nice little collab. Her Bad Bunny. Oh okay, maybe I'll
Man,
listen to more Bad
it's
Bunny.
going for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, things like that. So um, I think it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward just to see what the performance is gonna turn out like. I mean, that's what I always look to, regardless if I'm the biggest fan of who's performing or not. Um, like I said, I think he'll do great, and I think it'll be polarizing just because everything is so polarizing these days. Um, but yeah, I think this will be a good Super Bowl. You'll have Super Bowl halftime show. You'll have people hating, but it'll be what it is. It's still gonna be a great show.
It is what it is.
Yeah, well, the halftime show was one reason outside of football that people tune in to the Super Bowl. The other one is the commercials, and to kind of tie into our other show, MCU in Review. The report is that Marvel's actually doing no TV spots for either Spider-Man: Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday. What are your guys' thoughts
Mm,
there on those missing trailers?
kind of
Valid.
shocked about that. Yeah, I was kind of shocked about that. I mean, I would assume that um, Brand New Day, with that coming out just this summer, we would see something for that. Um, Maybe not Doomsday. I could see that not being something we
Yeah.
see until Brand New Day comes out. But I'm very surprised to not see Brand New Day as a trailer, even if it's a 30-second spot or a 60-second teaser. Like, that's interesting to me. But I think uh, they're trying to keep certain things under wraps, which I think is smart anyway these days. Um, because it'll probably spoils things with Born Again, maybe, or even the Punisher presentation. So I think that's probably why they don't want to do any day in terms of revealing anything either. So if those are if that's the reason, that makes sense. And again, I just think it's still a little too soon to have anything for Doomsday because that's until essentially Christmas of this year. So again, we won't see anything for that until Brand New Day comes out. See that trailer there.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like we are on the cusp of the Super Bowl commercials kind of losing their steam as far as debuting throughout the Super Bowl. It kind of seems like most of them just hit social media at like some point throughout the weekend of the Super Bowl.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then like by Monday, you're kind of really just hitting a roundup of like, okay, what was everyone's favorite? So it's not that it's gone away completely, but I think it's also a little different. Just the way that we consume the Super Bowl ads now.
Yeah, especially because some folks aren't even
Hmm.
watching the Super Bowl through, NBC or Peacock. Maybe they are getting it through, YouTube TV or some other means. Um, and I wonder if Peacock is going to even have the same commercials because on stream, you kind of get a different experience than if you have, let's say, a cable box subscription or,
Mhm.
hook up the antenna and get the live signal. So there are going to be some trailers, though, for sure, that I think people are going to get excited about. Mandalorian and Grogu is expected to have a trailer. New Toy Story expected to have a trailer. A new Scream. So there's movies I think they're still doing it, but like you said, half these trailers have already kind of released already. So they've already been shown to the public leading up to the Super Bowl. So it doesn't have the same, I guess, like that same hype that you would
That
think. Like if
hype,
you think about
yeah,
Endgame, right?
anticipation.
That first Endgame
Hmm.
trailer at the Super Bowl, which was I think the second trailer, really showed what was going on because the first trailer was basically like a teaser that revealed the name of the movie, essentially. But yeah, I think with Doomsday,
Hmm.
they've already had 4 trailers, so do you really need another one right now? Kind of can just let those teasers just like marinate for a little bit, and I think
Yeah.
they'll be okay. So, but yeah, I agree. I think commercials aren't really what they were before. I think how people
Hmm.
consume football in general is just a lot different. I could also see a lot of folks who are really excited about the Super Bowl. They're just going to watch the highlights because they can watch, you know, 30 minutes, 35 minutes of highlights. Then it's a quality experience. Sure, it's not live, but, some folks just don't want to deal with that anymore. So the days of
Hmm.
people waiting for trailers or, you know, GoDaddy domain site commercials, doing like shock value type of commercials, I think that's all gone now. I think the commercial is not as important, and I think maybe it's because of the way we consume media. Like I said, even football, I think people are opting for just watching the highlights because they don't have time to spend 3 hours on a game, or they're at work and they have to watch it
Hmm.
afterwards. So, um,
True fact.
yeah. Well, that's it in terms of what I want to talk about during the Super Bowl. Like I said, good luck to both the Seahawks and the Patriots as they go chase their dreams tomorrow in Santa Clara. Hope everyone stays safe in the Bay Area. And hope everyone has a lot of fun. I mean, the Bay Area is great, wonderful place. I think people rag on it all the time, but if you've been there, you know it's a fun place to be. I think. Um, but yeah, that's it for our show. Uh, we have a lot to talk about. I mean, obviously NBA with all the trades. Um, there's just UFC's had 2 pay-per-views since we had our last episode too. So there's just a lot of content, and
We'll
we'll get
probably get
that to
into
you.
all that next.
Yeah, we'll get on that in a couple of days next week, and then also talk about what we thought about the Super Bowl itself. So that should be a fun episode coming up. But before we go, though, any spiels before we head out?
Mine is a real quick one. Everyone, I hope you have a good Super Bowl Sunday. To me, kind of that's what's special about the Super Bowl. It's like an American holiday. Um, so whether you feel upset about Bad Bunny or whatever, who gives a fuck? Get together with some loved ones, some good people, enjoy some good food, and hopefully a great game of football. But yeah, I think just my spiel is enjoy this kind of American tradition that we all get to partake
Yeah, no. Um, we talked about these two different quarterbacks here, or these two different teams, and you mentioned something. It was like writing legacy. Mike Vrabel here, player with this organization, won the Super Bowl. Head coach now has a chance to win a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold has a chance to really write everything that people thought negatively about him. And just tying that all together, when your opportunity comes, you got to seize the moment. Regardless, I think if either one of these people lose tonight, if they or tomorrow, if they play very, very well, I guess technically tonight it is next day, but if either one of them lose, they just play very well. I think they've really shown the world and even themselves that they know that they are capable. I think the one thing Vrabel always, especially once he was with Titans as their coach, he failed and could never get over that hump to get that team, which wasn't the worst team. Derrick Henry was young, emerging. AJ Brown was on that team. They had a lot of talent there. Just could never get over the hump. And then Sam Darnold, again, we talked about it plenty of times on this show. 5 different teams, first round draft pick, third overall pick, and goes to a horrible organization, gets bounced around a lot, and ends up here with the Super Bowl. And so, again, when those opportunities present themselves, you just keep working and everything. And when an opportunity presents itself, you just take advantage because you don't know where it can take you and where your life can go. And once you get there, if you prepare all this time, it won't be that hard for you. So that's why I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl. And, I just hope all of us, we really work hard, strive for our goals. And, when that moment comes, we seize it. So Patriots fans, shout out to you guys. Seattle Seahawks fans, shout out to you guys. Yeah, looking forward to a great Super Bowl Sunday today.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to get together with the family and sit around and watch football for one last time until we go in the next season. This season has been very exciting, seeing all these new teams rising to occasion, like the Seahawks and the Patriots. We're seeing a lot of new faces starting to dominate the league, and then we're seeing kind of the familiar faces. Some of them are almost out the door now, like the Aaron Rodgers of the world, the Russell Wilsons of the world. It could be a completely different landscape next season. I think that what it really showed is there's no one path to get to the Super Bowl, whether you do a full, complete rebuild like the Patriots did, or you kind of plug and play a couple of pieces, change leadership, change some coaching, get the player that you want at quarterback, and you can turn it around all in one season, not make the playoffs one year, and now going to the Super Bowl. So I hope everyone has a good time watching the Super Bowl. Hope everyone stays safe and get home safely, and hope to see everyone at work there on Monday. So don't go too hard. So that's it. It's your boy Sal. It's a Muslim. The Spiel Sports Talk Show, Super Bowl edition, with Quay, with Randy. We'll be back in a couple of days to give you our thoughts on what happened during the Super Bowl. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video with your family and friends as you guys prep and watch the Super Bowl tonight. So, good night, everyone. Or good day.
Good night, guys.
Good night, good morning, good evening.
Get the introduction from the ID.
Yeah.
Time to put the pressure on what they can't measure. Cold,
I was getting
crying in the fire. Time to
I got